Okay, so you ever get in that situation where you're at the self-checkout and like the scanner's just not, it's not picking up the barcode on your bell pepper or something.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, come on, am I really going to have to flag down a human for this?
Right.
It's kind of funny, but it also gets you thinking like, are robots really going to be, the future of work?
It's a big question.
It is a big question, and that's what we're diving into today. Thankfully, no barcode scanners required for this one.
Well, and the source material you sent over, it's really, really interesting stuff. I mean, it doesn't shy away from the optimism, but also the concerns that are kind of swirling around this whole robot and automation thing.
Totally, yeah. We've got like reports in there on specific industries that are already being completely transformed, like trucking, agriculture, even, your fast food, like your burger flippers might be robots before we know it, which is kind of wild.
Moving fast.
It is moving fast. But we're also going to like really get into the potential downsides, right? Job displacement, this whole idea that we need to prepare for these huge GE shifts in the workforce.
Yeah, and that's key here, I think. We really have to understand both sides of this thing. So, I mean, maybe a good place to start is with this automation wave that everyone's talking about. It's not just coming, it's kind of already here.
It's already crashing down around us, right? One of the reports talks about self-driving trucks already being used.
Yeah.
Which is just, I don't know, that one kind of blew my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, how long until we're ordering takeout and some little robot on wheels rolls up with our food?
Right.
But seriously, the article says this tech is like, it's going to be huge in transportation. Like, it's going to completely revolutionize it.
And it's not just trucking. I mean, the document, it goes into a lot of detail, actually, about how agriculture is being transformed, too. Like, they're using drones to scan fields now. There's robots out there harvesting crops. Some of the reports were saying that they're increasing yields, like, by 15% while using, like, 20% less water.
Wow.
Which is, I mean, that kind of efficiency is pretty hard to ignore.
It really is. But then, the report hits us with the other side of it all,
Yeah.
right? Like, what about all the people who are currently driving those trucks or, working on those farms? It's not all like sunshine and robots,
Exactly. That's the big concern, right? And the report really does a good job of highlighting that. It's like mass job displacement. That's a real concern. Like, what happens to all those workers when their jobs are just, automated? And it's not just those industries either, right? Think about healthcare, manufacturing, even something like fast food. Like, those could all be impacted pretty heavily.
It's easy to like get caught up in that whole robots are taking over narrative, But the rap does bring up a few good counterpoints to that, right? Like, historically, new technologies have always kind of led to new industries and new jobs popping up.
They have. And if you think about it, like, think about the internet boom, right? I mean, back then, nobody could have predicted the kinds of jobs that would exist today because of the internet.
Right.
And so you could make the argument that, the same logic could apply to automation.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But this report also, it makes me wonder, like, what if this time it is different? You know what I mean? The speed at which all this automation stuff is happening is unlike anything we've ever seen before. Can people really be expected to upskill that quickly?
Yeah.
Especially, people who are in these physically demanding fields already.
Yeah, I mean, that is the question. And it's one that this document, it really grapples with, that, like, it doesn't have easy answers. One of the biggest points that the authors make is that, not everyone is going to be able to just seamlessly transition to some, high skill role. It's not realistic. So then that brings up the question of, who's responsible? Who shoulders the responsibility for making sure that people have access to those kinds of opportunities? And what happens to the people who are left behind in all of this?
It's a huge societal challenge.
Yeah.
It feels like, I don't know, it feels like a lot is riding on how we navigate this whole transition. It really makes you think about the bigger picture.
It really is bigger than just individual jobs, right? I mean, this document, it's challenging us to really think about the kind of future we're building, and not just in terms of the economy, but socially too.
Right, yeah. Like, are we going to end up in some kind of dystopian sci-fi movie or, something better? It feels like we're at this weird crossroads, So does the report, offer any solutions for dealing with this whole massive shift in work? Because saying learn to code to every truck driver out there doesn't seem like a very good plan.
Yeah, no, I think you're right to be skeptical of any easy answers here. But the authors do bring up some some pretty compelling approaches, I think. Education is a big one, but not in the way you might think.
Okay, so less about learning to code, more about
Yeah.
what? What's the alternative?
It's more about adaptability, I think,
Yeah.
critical thinking skills, that kind of thing. The report really emphasizes these uniquely human skills that robots, at least for now, they just can't replicate. And it's those skills that are going to be really, really valuable in a world where a lot of jobs are automated.
So like creativity, problem solving, emotional intelligence, basically all the stuff that's way harder to like program into a machine, right?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, I guess. But how do you even like begin to teach that kind of stuff on a large scale?
Well, the report, it argues that we need to kind of bake those skills into education from, from the very beginning. Like, imagine if we gave critical thinking and collaboration the same kind of weight that we give to algebra in our schools.
Right.
And it even suggests looking at countries that are already doing this kind of thing well. Like, they give the example of Finland. Apparently, they have a big emphasis on creativity and play in their school systems.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's like we're trying to prepare kids for jobs that don't even exist yet by like teaching them how to think as opposed to just what to think.
Exactly. And the report, it doesn't put all the pressure on schools either. Like, they give examples of some companies that are already navigating this whole thing, this transition, pretty successfully.
All right.
Yeah, and they're doing that by, providing a lot of on-the-job training, investing in these upskilling programs for their employees, essentially, creating this culture of like continuous learning.
So it's like the companies that are kind of embracing this change, like instead of being afraid of it, they're the ones who are going to come out ahead, right?
Yeah, I think so. And it creates this really interesting dynamic where those companies, they can attract and keep really talented people, because those employees feel like they're valued, they feel like they're being given the tools to actually grow. And it becomes less about, robots stealing jobs and more about robots creating space for humans to like do what humans do best.
Right. Okay. So we've got businesses, they have a role to play. But what about like governments? It feels like they need to be super involved in figuring out this whole robot revolution thing too, right?
Oh, absolutely. The report, it really emphasizes the need for strong policy and government initiatives here. Like, we need to be investing heavily in education and retraining programs, creating a really solid social safety net. It even mentions exploring things like universal basic income.
Oh, wow. Universal basic income. There's a whole other deep dive just waiting to happen on that one.
Right, that's a big one. And this report, it doesn't shy away from the fact that these are like really big, really complex ideas that, are going to spark a lot of debate. But, the authors argue that having those debates is crucial. Like, we can't just sit back and passively watch all these changes happen. We have to actively shape them.
It's about deciding what kind of future we want and then actually like using all these technological advancements to get us there, not just letting the technology kind of like dictate the terms.
Yes, exactly. And that actually reminds me of, there was this point in the report that I found really, really insightful. It said that technology itself is neutral. It's not inherently good or bad. It's how we choose to use it and how we prepare for the impact that really determines whether it leads to a brighter future for everybody or if it just exacerbates the inequalities that we're already seeing.
That's a really powerful way of putting it. It's really on us to make sure that everyone benefits from all this incredible advancement, not just a select few. Okay, so I feel like we've covered a ton of ground here. Like, we talked about the potential downsides of all this automation, the need for upskilling and education. We even got into universal basic income a little bit.
We did. It's a big topic.
It's a huge topic. But, this report wasn't all doom and gloom, right? Like, there's a whole other side to this whole robot revolution thing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's easy to get bogged down in all the anxieties about it, but the report does a good job of reminding us that these advancements could actually hold the key to, like, solving some of humanity's biggest problems.
Okay, now that's what I'm talking about. Give me some optimism here. Like, what kind of problems are we talking about?
I mean, think big, like climate change, disease, maybe even exploring the far reaches of space, things that have always seemed kind of insurmountable, right? Those could actually become achievable with the power of automation and AI.
Oh, wow. So it's not just about, like, robots taking our jobs. It's more like robots doing the jobs that are dangerous or, just super tedious.
Yeah.
The ones that humans probably shouldn't be doing in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. The report actually goes into some detail about Robots, maybe cleaning up pollution, developing new forms of renewable energy, even like venturing into hazardous environments so that we don't have to gather data and things like that. It's almost like we're freeing ourselves up to really push the boundaries of human ingenuity, but without putting ourselves at risk.
That's incredible. And the report also touched on healthcare a bit, right? It seems like AI could be absolutely huge in that field.
It could be revolutionary. I mean, imagine things like personalized treatment plans that are based on your specific unique genetic makeup, or AI-assisted surgery that's so minimally invasive and so precise. There's even talk about robotic companions, to provide care and just companionship for elderly folks.
Okay, that last one is kind of blowing my mind a little bit. It sounds like something straight out of like a sci-fi movie, but I don't know, also kind of incredibly hopeful at the same time.
It is, especially as, as our population ages, it's something to really think about. It all comes down to how we approach it, It's about figuring out ways to work with technology, not against it. And the possibilities, they really do extend beyond that. I mean, imagine AI tutors that are so advanced that they can adapt to each student's needs in real time. Every student could have a truly personalized education experience.
Yeah, that's something I think a lot of people would get behind. It would be a game changer for accessibility, for sure, and just for creating a more equitable education system in general.
Exactly. And that's what I think is so great about this report, It really pushes us to think bigger, to kind of look beyond the limitations of the systems that we have in place now. It's asking us, what kind of world could we actually build if we harness all this technology for everyone's benefit?
So it's less about this whole robots versus humans thing and more about robots and dehumans working together to create something better.
Exactly. It's about embracing the potential while still being really mindful of the challenges and making sure that everybody benefits from these advancements. This document, it doesn't really try to offer any easy answers, but it does leave us with a really, really powerful question. What role are you going to play in shaping this future?
That is a really good question. Definitely something worth thinking about. And honestly, after diving into all this stuff, I don't know, I'm feeling more inspired than scared, I think. It's a lot to wrap your head around, but this conversation has given me a lot to think about, for sure.
And that's what it's all about, right? It's about sparking that curiosity, challenging those assumptions, and just starting to imagine all the incredible possibilities that are out there.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So everyone listening, keep those brain gears turning because the future is unwritten and it's really up to all of us to shape it.